like to start by thanking the Society for Corporate Governance, the CEO, and leadership and members of this great organization for celebrating Women this day and for assembling such a great panel of speakers to speak on the very important theme of this year's International Women's Day. My brother, Mr. Wale Oshin, thank you for the great insights you gave us earlier, and I'm looking forward to listening to my sisters, the panelists that are here as well. And our topic of harnessing the power of diversity for innovation and success. And thank you to my colleague Chair Gozin, who was here before me. Of course, I welcome you all, ladies and gentlemen, both those who are in the room in person and those who are with us online. This year's International Women's Day is very important to me because this theme is very important. How can we ignite? It emphasizes the role that each of us as individuals, male or female, have to play. Emphasizes the role, it kind of makes this mandate personal. That's what I like about it, making us understand that each and every one of us can spark and ignite the flame, as it were, of inclusion. And I think more than any other year, I have become an evangelist, and I have been going around, just making presentations like this, and I thank you for the opportunity. So, we all know that the future of the world, our survival as human beings, our success in our businesses and in our lives today depends purely on innovation. I think we all agree about that. We're in a VUCA world, and that word has been used and used and used, or phrase has been used and used and used, but never has it been truer, as it were, than today, that indeed we're in a volatile world, that indeed there is a lot of uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity that we're all having to face every day. We're talking about the climate, we're talking about conflicts, national, regional conflicts, domestic conflicts here on our shores. We're talking about just coming out of a pandemic and recognizing the fact that there is a threat of the same recurrence of the same kind of pandemic that we went through just a couple of years ago. So we must innovate in order to succeed. And diversity is at the heart of innovation. It's very simple. If I fill this room with my old boy or old girls network, if I fill this room with people who think like me, who sound like me, who look like me, who have the same kind of background with me, who went to the same type of schools that I went to, can I really expect new or fresh ideas to come out of that room? Can I really expect anything particularly innovative? No. The more I can bring people with diverse opinions into the room, the more I can bring people who think radically differently from me into the room and into the conversation, the more their voices can be heard, the more their viewpoints will be considered, the higher the likelihood that at the end of the day, something new, something different will evolve. And that is why gender diversity is so important to innovation, because over time, in governance, in running companies and businesses, in community leadership, in even family leadership, most of the decisions have been made by the men. The voices of the women have been heard sometimes, and sometimes they've not been heard at all. Sometimes they've been heard as if they were not heard. Sometimes they've been heard and they've been dismissed. But the more we can bring these voices to center stage, the higher the likelihood that we will succeed and that we will innovate. My team put together pictures of some prominent African women, and by the way, these are just a handful of the incredible talent that we have on this continent. And very importantly is that these talents represent different fields, from science and technology to arts, to the field of arts, to the field of sports, to the field of the larger field of entertainment, to the field of literary arts, like Chinamanda, who is a global phenomenon. And what is the current landscape of gender equality? And I really commend the society for the report that was just presented. And as the slides show, some progress has been made. And the progress that has been made is not just domestic, it's also internationally. So considerable progress has been made in advancing gender equality. Women have gained increased access to education, to healthcare, and economic opportunities. So we have undeniably made progress. The ILO says that we've made 26% improvement just in the last 3 decades alone in terms of gender participation in the labor force. Now, so more women are participating in the labor force. And like my brother, Mr. Oshin, said earlier, at entry point, many times you actually have a greater number of girls coming in, and many times also these girls outperform the boys in interviews. And he said in his own organization, as high as 60% of the fresh intakes are comprised of young ladies. Am I correct, sir? How come the typical board that you then see, and today I still see these 7 men, 8 men, 10 men, and it's funny because when I go to these functions and they say, oh, we present our board of directors, and you just see this tall man, and by the way, they all look alike, sound alike, many times you can almost, there's a profile, you just, am I wrong? There's a profile, they're tall, they look good, they're well, packed and packaged. And you just see them walk there. And I'm sitting down and I'm shell-shocked. And I'm like, how come they don't feel uncomfortable? How come they don't feel uncomfortable? They should. And that's why we need to keep having this conversation. There has to be a time when they themselves will feel like there's something wrong with this assembly. And it's not just a nice to have, it is a survival issue for the world. It's a now, thank God for studies. There are abundant studies that show that institutions, organizations, bodies that have diverse leadership, they outperform the others. So it is no longer a matter, and I'll give you some statistics. So kind of let me follow my slides a little more. So, whilst the global labor force participation rate has risen historically, recent data suggests a worrying pause in this trend. Data room Team Sage revealed that the female labor force participation rate across the globe has been declining. Wow. Going down from 50.9% to 47.7% by the end of 2022. I don't know, who can hazard a guess as to why the trend may be reversing again? And I think our MC said we should make this participative or participatory. And by the way, I like to keep to time. So what's my hard stop time? This is 10:42 now. 11. So I have 18 minutes. So I'm going to dash somebody one of those 18 minutes. Why do you think, just hazard a guess, why do you think that this trend is reversing? Yes, please.
Family issues.
Family, domestic constraints.
Young ladies start having children, raising children,
Yeah.
and sometimes they are asked to quit. They will have to quit their job because of our culture.
That's a possibility. Can anybody think of anything else? I think even COVID probably also impacted, because this is from late 2019 to 2020. So there's also the problems that COVID brought about. But I think there is the natural phenomenon that if you think you are making a lot of success in a space, you stop watching that space. And that's what the invitation I want to make to everybody in this room, both in person and online, is assign yourself a watchdog. So what happens with every initiative is that once you are clapping and we think that, yes, women now are 52% of the labor force, what's going to happen? Everybody's going to relax and say this is no longer an imperative. So we're no longer checking and watching at our board meetings. We're no longer checking with HR to see, look, are you still remaining consistent in terms of encouraging entry, but also very importantly in terms of tracking growth of the gender we want to encourage and include in career growth in the organization. I believe very much that organizations must be deliberate about recruitment, about training, about preparation for leadership, and about monitoring progression until we achieve our target goals in terms of gender inclusion at all levels: board, executive management, senior management, and the rank and file. Until we can say that we are truly diverse on all those levels, we will not be there. I mean, I do need to admit that diversity is not all gender. And within my organization, for example, we aim to be diverse in all reasonable areas. So we look for religious persuasion, for example, because Nigeria is multi-religious, so we can't have all our boards all Christian and all Muslim. And by the way, in designing products for the market, you must have some of those, because those impact and affect how you can serve people. Then we look at, even though I personally am a fervent Christian, but I don't want a board of all, born-again Christians like me. I want a board that represents all the shades of opinion within the market that I am serving. So the same thing, we look for boards that are diverse in age. So increasingly encouraging some of the younger people to come on our boards as well. Otherwise, the products that we design, the solutions we design, our thinking will be fit only for those who are, like me, 58 and above. And then what happens 10 years down the line? Nobody wants to touch my product again because, it's old, it's not fresh. So you have to look at all the aspects of diversity. Also, diversity in background, diversity in experience, diversity in what you studied. The fact that it's a financial institution doesn't mean everybody there has to be an accountant and an economist or a lawyer. You'll be surprised how having a couple of, tech people, scientists, and people from entertainment and the arts can completely, radically change the way you think. So progress has been made, but challenges remain. A recent study from MIT shows that women tend to be underrepresented in managerial roles, in large part because their leadership skills are undervalued. And I was saying to somebody the other day that the real enemies of progress in terms of, giving opportunities to women are not necessarily those who actively oppose and hate us and fight against us. Many times it's those who overprotect us and shield us and tell us not to worry. No, that's for the guys. No, you don't have to, and exclude us from all kinds of gatherings, after work gatherings, because they believe that, we belong back home, because they would like their little woman to be back home. So when there is after office drinks, they don't invite you. Unfortunately, 60% of the decisions are taken during that cocktail after office drinks. Everybody essentially takes a position. The meeting before the meeting happens there. And then tomorrow morning you are at the board meeting and you came to that meeting not knowing that you are already in the minority. And so the agenda item comes. Mr. Oshi is smiling because he knows this is exactly how it happens. The agenda item comes up And you are all by yourself in your position and your opinion. You are in the minority. And very quietly, you just... And unfortunately, the more it happens, the worse it gets. Because the more you then... And that's one of the feedback that we get, that women, part of the reason why we don't get included is that we're perceived as what's the word? Introverted, as, withdrawing into ourselves. And you withdraw into yourself because every time you come to the meeting and you raise a position, it's like, you don't know why, but everybody else has gone a little further down the line on that matter because there were drinks last night and you weren't there. So, okay. So, what are the key barriers to gender diversity? Cultural norms remain a major barrier, of course. Furthermore, a significant barrier for women in advancing our careers lies in the unequal distribution of domestic and child care responsibilities. Let's talk about it. That's the point you made earlier. It is a fact, it is a reality that most of us as women still have 2 jobs. We'll finish this one, we'll resume at home for the next one. And our partner has just 1 job, bring home the bacon. Problem is you also bring home the bacon. And yet, you do the other job as well. And let's be frank, we are all given only 24 hours. There's a limit, a Yoruba saying says, it is an exaggeration to call somebody a foreman. No single person can do the job of 4 men. What I mean? Essentially, Superwoman and all that, I'm unchangeable. What are all those songs we sing now, I'm unstoppable and everything. After we have sung everything, we're still human. You're still human. So let's be frank, you burn the candle at both ends. You burn out. Statistically also, women fall out of the workforce earlier than men because you burn out. There's a limit to what a human being, a single person can do. And so all those are also issues that we need to discuss and we need to address. The table shaker that I've been sharing around in the last few days is maternity leave. I think paternity leave needs to be longer. That's the reality. Paternity leave needs to be longer. If you recognize that the leave is not just for the physiological pressure on your body for your body to heal. The leave is also supposed to be to care for the infant. If the man can't care for the infant when he's in the office, even if it means, anyway, don't let me, I've already shaken the table. Let's move on. So promoting gender diversity for innovation and success. So how can we promote gender diversity for innovation and success? Now, why is diversity so crucial? Extensive research reveals a direct link between gender, ethnic, and cultural diversity within a company and its profitability. So diverse companies tend to do better. We have a fund that is called the Balanced Diversity Fund. It's a fund that Imagine Africa launched almost 4 years ago. Fund is doing well in the market. Very importantly, the fund invests in securities of companies that have gender diversity, that meet a certain threshold in terms of gender diversity. That fund, year on year, has outperformed every other fund we have. And similar funds in the market outperform the other funds. And, at different times has been the highest performing fund on the, registered fund by the SEC in Nigeria. So there are sufficient statistics that show us that diversity actually improves the quality of decision making and improves the performance of an organization. Inclusive leadership is not a management style. It's not a management style. All the time we talk about, management styles, different management styles. What I'm trying to say is you don't have a choice about this. You can't say to yourself that, the former MD, that was his own style to include all you people. And this is not my own style. No, it's not a matter of management style. It's a commitment to fostering an environment where every individual, regardless of gender or background, feels a sense of belonging and it feels empowered to contribute their unique talents. We all individually bring unique perspectives, unique exposure, unique skills, unique ways of thinking, and everyone's own is important. We have a phrase we use a lot at Emerging Africa. It's psychological safety. So we have town halls, we have knowledge development sessions every month, and all staff of all categories participate and are expected to contribute. And you have psychological safety. We tell you, nobody is permitted to think you are dumb, you are daft, your ideas are half-baked or whatever. Just say it. Because there's something you've seen that nobody else in that organization has seen or has known, and we want to hear it. And that's what drives innovation and innovative thinking. According to McKinsey, the greater the representation, the higher the likelihood of outperformance. We all want to run and work in outperforming institutions. Am I correct? And we understand that the estimation of the extent of this outperformance can be anything between 10 and 30% more. Just because of diversity. Why would we want to leave that amount of money on the table? I'm not ready to. So if you know that as an organization you can do between 10 and 30% better just by making sure you are inclusive, why would you not be? Finally, as I round up, I think I have about 5 minutes more. Individual action and collective responsibility is the cornerstone. Individual action and collective responsibility is the cornerstone. Every hand needs to be on the table. We must empower and elevate women in our organization. We must be intentional and deliberate about it. And I'm going to kind of round up by talking a little bit about what we have done at Emerging Africa and how it has impacted us. 5 more minutes I have. So, Emerging Africa is an impact-focused investment group with a diverse portfolio. Now, a key part of that impact focus for us is also creating opportunities for women, deliberately, consciously, raising and grooming women to establish to positions of leadership and partnering with women. So, beyond words, leading with action and results, that's the way we look at it. And at our organization, we have a balanced board with 53% female participation and 47% male participation. Thank you. And in executive management, it's the same, 50%, 50-50. And in recruitment also, that's the standard that we go for. Very importantly, we actually have more female CEOs than male CEOs. In validation of our choices, and of the numerous studies that show that organizations with gender diverse boards and executive management are more likely to outperform their less diversified peers, our performance and growth rate since inception of the group 6 years ago has been nothing short of extraordinary. So these include average annual growth of 77% in revenue, 66% in PBT, average annual, 75% growth in shareholders' funds, and 103% growth in total assets. So our assets have typically doubled every year. That's what has happened. Thank you. So we've grown from 1 location to 10 locations across Nigeria, Mauritius, and the United Kingdom. We've expanded to actually 14 subsidiaries, but 10 businesses in the group. And our dedication goes beyond our internal structure. Our unique gender-led fund, like I said, the Balanced Diversity Fund, consistently outperforms most of its peers, both internally and externally. On that note, with these few words, I hope I have been able to convince you and not confuse you that gender diversity is critical to achieve innovation and successful performance. Thank you very much, and God bless you.